Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. This is the Roundtable.
And a good Sunday afternoon to you once again here on the Roundtable program. Want to get right to my guest here. We've got a lot of questions to cover over the next 30 minutes. Mackenzie Bart, Miss Ohio 2014, fresh off the Miss America pageant just a couple of weeks ago, but we don't want to forget, introduce us to your friend who you've brought along.
So this is my friend Roxy. We have her all set up on the table. I think she's just dazed at you. She's in
Oh, that's very sweet. And we will get to her in just a minute, talk a little bit more. She was instrumental in how far you got in the Miss America pageant this year, correct?
I would say so. She really took a splash in media and in everything else, and I think stole the hearts of many Americans. So
well, heck,
I'm glad to have her.
Mackenzie, let's jump right into it. How did you get into ventriloquism?
So I loved Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop when I was younger. It's something that I grew up watching all the time at my grandparents, and I would even take a dirty saw.
Even at your age, you were watching that show,
huh? I did. I was younger. It was the only thing on PBS, I believe, at the time.
Yeah.
Drew like a little face on a sock and would pretend that was my lamb chop, and I would go along with it. And then I got a couple puppets growing up and really reached out with different tapes and books and found a couple mentors throughout the community. And then I got Roxy maybe 5 years ago or so, and we've been together ever since doing different events.
It takes such, I get, and if anybody has not YouTubed it yet, they are doing themselves a disservice to not watch your performance there that night. You had the crowd, you had the lights, you had the cameras, and you were on scene there, and I have watched it numerous times. You sang Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Yes. We are showing some video from the actual competition. We'll talk about the winners and the talent competition and that kind of thing as well. But how do you, I guess, stage yourself into that moment and mentally prepare and gauge that how bad the nerves are going to be?
Well, it's something that I've been preparing for a lifetime. It may sound cheesy, but that's a moment that I've always worked towards, whether it was working in community service, working on my talent, or keeping up with current events and different news issues. It's just something that you work so hard for, that one moment in time being on stage, and that's what I wanted. And I was taught growing up from both of my parents that through hard work that you can do anything, and that's what I saw.
Talk about going through the preliminaries for people who haven't followed your career, getting to the Miss Ohio point. How tough is it as a kid? And I want to talk a little bit more as far as pageants in general, because we know there is so much interest out there. There is so much involvement. Families, it is a big family project because there's a lot of travel, there's a lot of money spent. I'm sure you can, if I had your parents here, they would chime in on that part of it. But when you look at somebody from a young age having to go early into these pageants and get the experience, as you said, and work toward that ultimate goal, which you were so close to, are you pretty much predispositioned to that early in life to say, this is the direction, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve?
I see it as something that it's almost like a sport. You see athletes training from a young age to something that they want to do, whether that's playing in high school, playing professionally, or doing a sport for fun. You always have to build up to that moment and train properly.
Yeah.
I really decided to join the Miss America program because it's one of the largest scholarship programs for young women. And I, being a first-generation college student, I was looking for that way to pay for school. I wanted to break that barrier that my parents didn't have the opportunity to and go to college. So that's why I originally joined, was being able to get that scholarship money. And thankfully, overall, Miss America has given me $14,000 of scholarship money, and being Miss Ohio, over $25,000.
No kidding.
My senior year will definitely be paid for, and as I continue to get my master's, that will as well.
You are very savvy in front of cameras. You have a goal later on. Tell people about your major in college down at The Ohio State University.
So I'm studying atmospheric sciences at The Ohio State University. I know we probably have some Michigan fans listening in,
of course.
So sorry. But I hope to go on and be a broadcast meteorologist, and then Roxy and I are going to pair up and have our own children's educational weather show.
Talk about that a little bit. You talk about that on your website, and if people want to go check that out, it is MackenzieBart.com. We have pulled it up. Folks can check it out there at home. You talk about not only your philanthropy work, your platform of universal newborn screening, but you've also got a section dedicated to meteorology. Why the love of weather?
I think it's because at a young age I found the discovery of science, and this ties in with my platform as well. My youngest sister, Mimi, was born with a rare disease. It's called Smith-Lemli-Opitz syndrome, so her body does not produce any cholesterol. And when she was born, she was properly mis-screened. Her disease was not caught by the universal newborn screen. And that's why I've been advocating for more diseases to be screened for. So children like my sister don't have to grow up the way she did. But with her, that delayed treatment and her body not producing cholesterol, as a kid, I wanted to be the one there to make her life better. And that's where I turned to science, that discovery, and to find the answer. So now as I've grown up and had this love of weather, it's the same thing. You look outside and you have so many questions of maybe why the sky is blue, why it's raining, or why such weather events happen.
Sure.
And that's when I went to Ohio State and I went to study atmospheric sciences. So my life has always been about that science.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if you've heard of STEM. It's science, technology, engineering, and math. I've been able to help out with that initiative, working with the Ohio STEM Network and different other organizations to be able to promote children that it doesn't matter where you come from or what you do in life, that science will always be there, and that's something that could open the door.
And obviously a big goal of a lot of schools these days to kind of steer kids toward that science career of some sort, some fashion. Storm chasing, is that something that you see in your future? Or?
I have not done that yet. I think I don't think my parents want me to do that.
Yeah.
I do have some friends that did run into the Moore, Oklahoma tornado when it was coming through a little while ago, but from that I was able to travel back down to Moore and work with Habitat for Humanity to rebuild homes that were destroyed by that storm destruction.
It would be a disservice to our fans and our viewers to not talk a little bit more about the pageant itself and some of the questions that come up from time to time, how it's too harsh for these girls who are in the competition. We have seen over the last week the winner, Miss New York, has come under the microscope, scrutiny for things in her past. I want to go back to a question I asked you about being predisposed. And we found out years ago, when you talk about history and politics and I guess just lessons of our culture, Bill Clinton always wanted to be president. He said that from the get-go. It comes out that in his past, he smoked marijuana, and then it comes up later in life. Now, you see something with Miss America, Miss New York, comes forth as far as college hazing is concerned, and she had to answer questions. She was on Good Morning America this week answering those questions. I don't know if you watched or not, but how much scrutiny do you deserve? Do you get? How much vetting is there of you and your life in general, and is it fair?
Well, I think because we are role models for young girls and we're out in the public eye that we're always going to have scrutiny. I know when doing a talent like ventriloquism, that's something that I received myself, people thinking it's more old school or something that wasn't popular anymore. So any little thing that you can do can come under scrutiny. I think in her instance that we've all been grown up and we've all been raised to empower other women and to be strong, powerful women. And when we take a position like this, we know what we're getting into, and we also know how it can affect other little girls. And I think that's why we all take a platform, because we want to make that positive change. But unfortunately, we're all not perfect. There's all things that we've done in our life that we either regret or don't want to talk about. But I think it's not what you did, but the way that you handle it. And I'm glad that she's coming out and she's talking about it. And I think that we should all kind of be with her. And the organization has forgiven her as a national organization. So I think going with them and being a local title holder or state title holder of them, that's something we have to see as well.
Yeah. Do you think she's handled herself well in these trying questions as far as her past is concerned? And is it fair, as you said, is it fair to keep bringing up the stuff from the past?
Well, with bullying, that's something that it's very hard to do and something that no one should be accountable for.
Right.
But I know that I've known Kira. I was actually my roommate, and she's such a sweet girl. And I think that's one unfortunate instance in her past, and that's something that's looking under investigation. So we don't really know what's going on. It's a kind of a lot of he said, she said.
Sure.
So I think once we find out the actual story and knowing her personally, I don't think that's something that she would be involved with. But I'm glad she is out there talking to people and getting it out in the open. What
is your responsibility from here on out as far as the Miss America pageant is concerned and being Miss Ohio? When does your reign end? And what do you try again can you try again as far as Miss America is concerned?
No, so with Miss America, I've done it once. It's almost one and done. So I'll take this year and continue my work as Miss Ohio, whether that's visiting schools, whether doing interviews like I am today, or working with my platform. I'm very excited for the year that I have ahead of me. It's a lot with working with STEM, working with legislation, with universal newborn screening.
Talk a little bit about going forward as you look at your career and being there at Ohio State University. Are you treated differently on campus? I mean, obviously you're in your junior year, you said?
Well, I take the year off as Miss Ohio
Okay.
to fulfill different obligations, but then next year I will go into my senior year. I haven't really been treated too differently. If anything, I've maybe gotten more Twitter or Instagram, Facebook
Where's home?
followers.
Where's home?
I live in Grandview, so
Okay.
right in Columbus. So it's so nice to be so close to Ohio State. But if anything, I can't thank everyone enough for the amazing support that I've gotten. Whether
Do you have that street name yet? Do you have a
I
sign
don't
up
know.
saying
Maybe we
home
need to
of?
work on
Yeah,
that.
seriously. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
No, but everyone's been so grateful of giving their time and support to me, and I can't thank them enough.
And you walk away from this experience better for it? Do you think it was something that has served you well? Obviously, it served you well as far as scholarship money is concerned, and that can go without saying. But
Definitely.
but your parents, they are happy with this experience for you?
Very much so. I think not only did it leave me with this scholarship money to provide for my education, but I have the communication skills that I can sit down here and talk with you today, or I can go in front of a large crowd of people and be able to speak my mind as a woman. Also going on, I have the skills of doing a talent. There's so many benefits that you get from this, as well as making so many amazing friends from the program and just the people I'm meeting. It's an opportunity of a lifetime.
Good answers to good questions. I appreciate that. Now, how do you perfect talking like this without actually moving your mouth?
You're doing a pretty good job.
No, that's terrible. That's absolutely awful.
It's a lot of sitting in front of a mirror and just watching yourself. So, I mean, I'm even learning with ventriloquism, so preparing for Miss America 24/7.
You said there were people in your neighborhood who you looked to for advice and things. Grandview, just a home to ventriloquists? What is this that we haven't
Well,
tapped yet?
I don't know about that, but I do have a friend that lives in Ohio. She's a professional ventriloquist,
Okay.
Kimberly Yeager-Miller, and now she actually does different school events and everything. So I turned to her for a lot of work. And there is a ventriloquist convention that happens in Cincinnati, so I was also open to do my talent for them and get some advice.
All right, we are going to have you and your partner here do some quick question and answers for us here in our next segment. It's all about Ohio. We
That's
figured
okay.
it's going to be an either-or thing, but we will stay right there. We continue our conversation with Mackenzie Barr, Miss Ohio 2014, on the other side of this break. Stay with us.